All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Driveway Engineer. I'm JR. This is my Holley 650 double pumper I'm going to be working on. It's looking a little rainy outside, so I'm going to be working inside today. You guys saw part one, or maybe you didn't. If you didn't, go back and look if you want, or don't. I don't really care. But this is like a $10 carburetor. I'm pretty sure it was $10. I got it at the junkyard like 7 or 8 years ago. And I've never had a purpose. I just, I recognize the float bowls and I'm like, oh, that's another 3310 style. It's actually a 4777 list, which means it is a 650 double pumper. This one's a -1, which means it's an older model. I don't want to get into tuning or anything like that in this video, but I do want to just kind of cover what you need to do to regasket a Holley. So this one's already been cleaned up. If you remember, if you saw it, like originally it wouldn't work. The throttle blades wouldn't move. It was really in pretty rough shape. So I have it to where it functions now. And I've cleaned it all up, blasted everything out. It's ready to go. But I do want to show you guys, before I put you on the tripod here, the most important, in my opinion, thing in the entire carburetor is those four little, see those little holes down there? Let me show you on this side. So see those four holes? The inner two are your idle bleeds, and the outer two are your main air draws. And these are the most important thing, to just make sure that they're clear before you go crazy regasketing everything. It's also pretty important to check on some kind of flat surface. I'm gonna go ahead and set this up on the tripod now. So all right, it's also important to check on a flat surface that these blocks are nice and flat, which I've done. If they're warped, they won't seal. The accelerator pump covers, same thing. If they're too warped, they won't seal. Part of the reason why gaskets are so ridiculously difficult to get off of these is because they're Holley made them super thick, and Holley made them super thick so that you could get, so that they'd seal. I left the idle bleed screws in this, I guess. Good grief. All right, I'm back. This carb is old. It doesn't have 4-corner idle and some of the fancier stuff. And that's okay. We don't really need it for our 200 horsepower 440. I do, however, need to make sure that I have everything out and clean and ready to go, which I did not. So, these idle mixture screws, when people say that you can tune them with a screwdriver, like that's the extent of the tuning that they do probably. But this hole and this hole mixes air and fuel for your idle, and then this goes in and blocks it off. And these air bleeds that I showed you, they go down and transfer down to it. So for a toilet, it's awfully complex and interconnected. I'm going to show you guys. I'll pick you up and bring you a little closer. So, you know, be careful, but see that shooting out of the top? You should see that in all 4 of those. And really that's what you're looking for in all these holes, is for it to they go somewhere, right? So you want to see a corresponding, this one goes to the squirter in the center. You want to make sure those are all clear, and that's what you're looking for. I'm going to clean up this metering block, as well as this metering block, which seems to actually be missing the screws. And I'll be right back. Alright, don't mind the rain. Hopefully you can still hear me. It's coming and going in spurts. I made very sure that I've cleaned all the passages with brake cleaner without my eyeball in front of it, and then high pressure air when they were a little stubborn. I have little cleaning wires for my torches that I use. And now we're going to get into the kit. So the first thing you need to know about the kit is that it has shit in it that you don't need. No matter what, you know, whether you're doing a 4777 like me or something else, it definitely has gaskets in it. Like, look how many base plate gaskets there are. And that's partly, like, this is a 650. It shares the base plate with a 750. I can just swap the body and make it a 750. And then, you know, there's different things over the years. So the second most common mistake that I've seen people make, or I've made in the past, is putting the gasket on wrong, or using the wrong gasket and you block some little hole and then shit don't work the way it's supposed to. So you want to make sure that every hole has a corresponding gasket opening. And these ones look okay. I usually don't get it the first time. Also, you can flip this around, and it may matter. So the reason I'm lifting this off and putting it back on is so that you can see I'm trying to get some light up here. I don't know how good this thing's gonna work. I've been not super impressed with it, but hopefully that helps. Yeah, it helps. Okay, so what I'm looking for is, you know, how many holes do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2, these are actually screw holes, dirt. But 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, but, well, that works okay. I was going to say, but it doesn't really match the bores, but it kind of does. So look at this one. It's got all kinds of extra shit going on. Don't want that. What about this one? This one looks largely the same, doesn't it? Except it's got this shit going on. So we don't want that. It might go on there and work though, or it might go on there and seem like it's going to work. It does, but it has a bunch of openings you don't need, so why leave yourself at risk, right? Look at this one. This one seems like it fits a little better. One. See, it kind of occludes that hole. I don't really like that. I'm going to go back to this one, which seems to work fine. I'm also going to check, for the hell of it, that my throttle plates work nice and smoothly still. This is the back of the carb, back of the base plate, and I know that that's the front because it has a choke horn on it. So I'm just going to flip this bad boy upside down like so and drop her on. I can see, by the way, I know you guys can't, but I can see that it's going to line up. So from there we have some screws. I thought that this one was like one of the few carbs I've ever seen with an extra screw. There's a bunch of holes here, but you only use the outside ones. I've only ever seen them that way. And the reason for that is if that were to fall out, you know, bad news bears, right? Nope, I guess I was wrong. Oh yeah, I see it right here. Yeah, this one had an extra. In the instructions, if you read them, Holly will tell you the same thing. Don't use that center screw. All right, this is like one of the two things you need a Phillips head screwdriver for, and I gotta find mine, so I'll be right back. Screwdriver. Oh, you guys are a little zoomed in. There we go. Oh, shit. Let's get that light out of the shot. Yeah, that's about the best I'm gonna be able to do. All right, so I generally will run these down like finger tight and then do a function check of the blades again. And this is again a double pumper, so the secondary should just open, which is why I like them. When you work the throttle, it's a hard linkage. There's a firm connection. You push it far enough, the secondary is open, the end. That's not true with the vacuum secondaries, and I don't really want to get into that today. And also, I'm not a carb guru or anything. I just, you know, for me, this is like a flashback. I haven't done this in a long time. So, it's nice. Works well. Could probably use a little oil still. Also, I want you to see in there, see that step from the body? That's because it's a 650. So, should be a little snappier off idle. Should be a little more choked up top. It's about that simple when it comes to carb sizing. The reason that engineers use Phillips head screws like these is so you can't put too much torque on them. And also, I was wrong. This didn't have the middle screw. I just missed one. See how that happens? So yeah, you can't really, it's difficult to over torque a Phillips head screw. But there we go. We have a main body complete, ready to go out double pumping across the world. Woo, woo, woo. Let's set that aside for now. Float bowls. This is an older one, older carb, like I've said. So it has center hung brass floats. I'm good with that. I like it. I do need to get the needle and seat out. And apparently these want to be stuck. This kind of let me touch upon, so I don't know if you can see that in there, little rattly thing underneath that brass strap. That's the check ball for the accelerator pump. But these red things are also check flappers for the accelerator pump. That's a newer style, and it came out in like the 80s or the 90s. So this is your needle and seat. This is where people get, well, they get the idea that it's a toilet from their friends, and then they just propagate it. But this is kind of how it works like a toilet, right? This float goes up, it lifts that needle. Inside here there's a needle, and it shuts off the flow of fuel. You can see that in there. And then you smash it, woo! And the float drops, and then that needle drops and fuel is able to come in. So your pump's out there just deadheading against this needle a lot of its life. So I'm going to clean up both float bowls that I neglected to do before, so you guys don't have to watch, and I'll bring you right back. Alright, so with your float bowl cleaned up, you're ready to go ahead and install your accelerator pumps. Again, the dual pumps is what makes it a double pumper. This kit only has one option. There's a 30cc. What the shit? This is the bigger one. I was just gonna say there's a 30cc and a 50, and this is the 50, but they didn't give me the fucking diaphragm for the 30. I need two 30s. I don't have it. Sweet. Thanks. Thanks. I guarantee somewhere in this shit it says that this covers the list for this carburetor. Dirty bastards. $41.50. This is a $41.50. Where are we at here? Blah blah blah. 4777-1. So doesn't matter. I can put it on later. I'll show you one. I have one to show. They have to. They're supposed to be the same. So this goes down in here, and then a little spring goes on it, and then which one is this? Front one. So it should sit like, arm goes out like so. Then we drop our 4 screws in. Curse the people at Holley yet again. You know, a guy could really make money if he started a carburetor company and actually made shit that worked. But then Holley would come along and buy them, just like they did to Barry Grant and Quick Fuel and Proform and AEM. There is a long history of Holley just buying their competition, which in America we call that an antitrust violation, but apparently nobody cares about hot rods. If you can't tell, I'm irritated by my missing accelerator pump. So anyway, so what happens is this sits here in the bottom of the float bowl, and it's covered in gas all the time, and when you kick it, I don't know if you can hear that, but I can hear it pumping. So it gives you a little squirt of fuel. When you look down and you see the little man peeing in each bowl, that's where that comes from. All right, oh, needle and seat. Couple I have shit to say. There's, on the tip of the needle, there's a little coating, which is why the kit includes it, because that can wear out and cause you problems. So, drop that bad boy in there. You want to look down inside there too. There's like, I know you can't see it, but there's a bevel deep down inside. And if it's not there, it'll cut the O-ring. And if it cuts the O-ring, it won't seal, and you'll have flooding and stalling and everything else. So what's supposed to happen is you drop this nut on. And then that goes like that. And then this screw pushes against the needle and seat and sets the float level. Hey! Peanut! Get over here. Get in your bucket. So anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted by my naughty dogs. Oh, that one still has the O-ring on it. We'll use this one, or fiber washer, whatever. So you drop the screw in there, and at some point you should see it picking up the float bowl. I'll be dipped. Why isn't this working? I can actually see it in there hitting. I think I had it too far down. Let me fiddle with this for a minute and check on my little naughty dogs. I'll be right back. Alright, I said the wrong thing, or I said it the wrong way. You actually screw this to make the float go up. I said it's been a while. Once you get, see now it's going up. So I will generally put it, you see that gray line? I kind of eyeball it to the side of this plug. Like they'll tell you set your float so that when fuel's at this level and if you rock it, it should just spill out. I found that if you set this seam right there, it will land really, really, really close. So with that done, we can find the appropriate fiber washer and drop our screw on. I'm going to set these back here so I can move them further away from myself. I actually think that's what this stupid little ruler is for, but I never use it. Fiber washer. Screw that needs a fiber washer. That one seems a little bit big. I don't see any other more appropriate ones. Well, maybe these ones. Maybe this one's a little more appropriate. That's the fun part about a kit, is you get to figure out WTF. I guess we're going with this one. So run that down. I'm going to throw you guys on pause when my brother-in-law rides by on his tractor. Alright, so tightened up. Looks like that. And you're going to repeat for the rear bowl as well. I'm not going to worry about that right now because, like I said, I don't have my GD accelerator pump. Back again. So all I did here was, I know that this is the primary metering block because it has a power valve. This particular carb has a power valve blocked in the rear. As far as I'm concerned, it sits one way and a half dozen the other. When you block the rear, you have to jet up, I think it's like 8 steps. And the rear rear metering block. On the front, I'm going to show you guys this. This carb came with, I'm sure you're not going to be able to see because I can barely see, but they are stamped on there, and they are, what are they, 65s? Yep. Is that what that says? Maybe it's a 66. I don't know, that's what it came with according to the book. There's a book and you can figure all this stuff out. Just a second, let me get coconut and tuff it. Because I have no choke, because this is really a spring, summer, fall truck, I don't really need a choke. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to hassle with it. The way to help it start is to just jet up a little bit. And I have this box of jets left over from when I had my Corvette. That's a 69. That's a 70. That's a 68. So I'm going to go with 68s in the primary, and then the factory rear 70s. Just to give it a little more fuel when it's cold. Now, on the power valve, the correct way to do the power valve is to measure your engine's running vacuum, like put a vacuum gauge on it and see what it has at idle, and then half of that should be what you run for a power valve. So like this had a 6.5 in it. That's probably okay for something with a cam, an aftermarket cam. I would suspect that a stock cam is going to idle around, like an RV, probably around 16 inches of vacuum, maybe 18. It looks like this kit, failed me again, came with two 6.5s and a 10.5, when what I'm looking for is like an 8.5. So the way that these work is, you know, they sit in here like so. Sorry, sitting here like so. And again, there's like a little jiggler. And as your engine draws down, it's like a needle and seat. And it allows fuel to pass through, and it enriches the mixture, like when you're going up a hill, or that sudden hit when you stomp it. So the concern that you have to have is, if you don't have the right power valve, you'll either get into it enrichment too soon, or you'll never get into it at all. For me here, I'm going to err on the side of, I don't really care, because of, you know, what it is in terms of being a stockish, well, very stock truck, and I'm going to put a 10.5 in it. So, and then on the rear, it doesn't have one, so it's just, like I said, like eight steps richer. This is really only a concern when you're like I said, under load. If you're in like an RV, or like Brittany's truck, if she actually does use it to go get mulch, you know, going up a hill with a load of mulch is going to draw a lot of vacuum, which really means that it's asking for a lot of fuel. So again, match up your gaskets. This kit came with two. See, you can't put it on backwards, or you could if you were dumb, but you'd have to try hard. There's another version of this where this is like cut out. I've had kits that had both. And if you do that with a power valve, it'll draw it through the accelerator pump, and you'll never, the power valve will draw the accelerator pump shot, and you'll never get an accelerator pump shot out of your carb. This is your vent transfer. So at this point, you're ready to bolt the float bowl onto the carb. So I guess I'll put it up here like so, drop it on like this. Again, I know that this is the primary side because of the choke horn. There's some alignment dowels, and you kind of wiggle it and it snaps down. Then you grab your finished float bowl, which is not this one, which is this one. And you'll know that because fuel comes in the passenger side of the carb. And also this should be angled down if you replace that for some reason. If you don't have one that's angled down, it will be difficult. Then you have to kind of do a little dance to get the accelerator pump under the accelerator pump arm. Then you have to remove the gasket that you forgot to remove before. These fiber gaskets like that, they kind of suck, but I do think that they're superior in sealing to the newer style. Sometimes these come with black plastic washers, and sometimes not. Sometimes they come with a gasket. So if you give me just a minute here, I'm going to set this up and figure out the gasket. Alright, so with your, I did figure this out because there's 8, it is the plastic. So just figure out, when you're trying to figure out what gasket, like does it fit your thing? How many things do you have? Are there that many? There's exactly 8 of these, and I have exactly 8 float bowl screws. So these are ready to go. I did kind of jack this up, I can see, because my accelerator pump arm is not under my accelerator pump actuator. There we go, now it is. See that squirting up and down? That's what we want. So 1 washer per screw, and then to get, these are flatheads because they really don't want you cranking on them. If you're having leaks, then you're having other issues. Check your metering block for flatness, sand it on a block, check your float bowl, it might be warped. Coming in here and just cranking the ever-loving piss out of the gasket is not a, or out of the screw, isn't really a solution though. So there's that, finger tight. I'm gonna go ahead and actually take care of the rear float bowl. It's the exact same process. The only difference is, like I said, this particular model does not have a rear power valve. If they do, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine too. For most of us, there's no reason to go from one to the other, so don't lose any sleep over it. I'm not gonna show that because, you know, you just watch me do it. So I'll be right back. I want you guys to see I screwed this up on the front. There's actually a gasket both above and below that nut. And on the front, I had originally only put one above. So put one below too. And drop your nut on. I've already adjusted this float bowl. And then, like I said, the accelerator pump will have to come later after I buy a new diaphragm. this is gonna, I know this is gonna be one of those deals where I think they're only $2 and they're fucking 35. Again, check your gasket, make sure it lines up. This one you can try, just like the front, to put it on wrong. And it'll kind of go. But that's what the dowels are for. When engineers only want you to put stuff on one way, they make it so you can only put stuff on one way typically. I know the guy at Quickie Lube would do it better, but they're pretty clever every once in a while. Pop our fiber washers on. Seem to be missing a bolt, but I know I'm not. Oh, I see it over there. I'll do that one last. I think it looks like it still has the old washer on it. So, once you shoot this bolt through, and there we go. I like to do one to kind of hold it. It's not exactly rocket science or surgery. The science is settled. I just heard Peanut whine. Peanut! Let me go check on my dog. I'll be right back. What are you doing? Come here, man. You want your bucket? Come here, Peanut. Get in there. All right, Peanut settled. There's nothing real mystical about what I'm doing right now. I'm tightening up screws. This is pretty much it. There's tuning and stuff like that to do that I don't want to get too into at the moment. You have a complete double pumper. Oh, man, I forgot. I forgot all about the idle mixture screws. Got to put them in. You almost have a complete double pumper. Hold on. Let me show you the idle mixture screws. Again, I prefer these little cork deals, but you can use O-rings if you want to. And usually they're in the kit, but I don't see them today, of course. But yeah, you just pop the little cork on there and run them in. And they seal it up. So for this carb, like I said, it does not have 4-corner idle, so they only go on the front metering block. And what I do is I run these all the way down, and then I back them out 1.5 turns. And then on the truck, you'll adjust it for vacuum or adjust it for whatever your buddy says. When he said, I can tune that son of a bitch. I wish it would rain more because it is incredibly humid. So, half, 1.5. That's that. Other side's a little trickier because of the linkage. It's like a nicer screw. That's weird. Must have cleaned one off and not the other. Doesn't surprise me. Sounds like something I would do. So again, run it down if you can. I think peanut and coconut are as hot as I am, so where I have to go. Irene. All right, so there's one more thing that I forgot, which is the squirters. This particular carb uses the same size front and rear. They just go in the top. I'm gonna wear wheel these. I'm not gonna wear wheel these. I'm a liar. Oh, I'm gonna lose them. And then there's like a metal shim washer deal that goes underneath them. And then you try to drop the whole thing in without sending anything down to your intake, because you can change these. Ah, look. There it is. You can change these on the car, which is, you know, typically how they're changed, but a lot safer to do it this way. So I went ahead and I put the old accelerator pump diaphragm back in the back. I can hear it, you can hear it like suctioning. The final thing to do is like a final function test. I can see both accelerator pumps pumping. I can see I have full throttle. You can see your squirters installed there. Everything's good to go. This is ready to put on a truck and check. Now, I don't want to go into like tuning and adjustments in this video. If I ever get my carburetor or my transmission back, we can go into that then. But this is what a $60 Holley double pumper looks like, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed following along. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you have something to tell me, you know, that you notice I did wrong. I would encourage you to watch the whole video first. But I know some of you will not do that. So, anyway, thanks for watching. I just mixed up all my jets. See you next time on The Driveway Engineer.